Hi, my name is Joe Jackson. I do a podcast series called The Joe Jackson Interviews, which is based on the roughly 1,400 interviews I did with celebrities over a 25-year period. The podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and nearly all major podcast servers. But what you're about to hear is a section from an interview I did with PJ Proby in his home in 1987. Before this part of the interview, he'd told me about how he first met Scott Walker when he was living in LA, and Walker, as part of the Dalton Brothers, came to Liberty Records where PJ was employed as a songwriter, and Proby then actually produced the Dalton Brothers recording, I Only Came to Dance With You, a song that he also wrote. But at this point, Gary Leeds had moved to Britain to work with the PJ Proby Orchestra. This was long before the Walker Brothers were formed. And PJ picks up the story, setting the scene in Innismore Mews, where a lot of lascivious things seem to have happened.
One night after all this hassle and all this trouble with this pants splitting and everything, and the problems I was going through legally, Leeds couldn't hack all that. Because we're getting too heavy business and not enough of him being able to have his orgies on the floor, him and Kim Fowley. With Anne the Potato Girl, which is a very famous name. I can't name her because she's a very good friend of mine. And so I got out of bed one night and I heard somebody on the phone. And I went to the top of the stairs. It was Gary Leeds on the phone downstairs because he wanted money to go back home and I wouldn't give it to him. And he was running me down to his parents in Hollywood like crazy. Saying, I can't live in this house anymore. Proby's a sex maniac. Said he throws these incredible orgies every night. And he's running everything that he and Kim Fowley did down to his mother and father. Said all these stars are fucking and sucking on his rug, and said, I just can't take it anymore, Mama. You got to send me some money to get me home. I just waited at the top of the stairs for him to hang the phone up. And he hung it up, and he came up to the top of the stairs. And I said, Gary, I'm going to only ask you one thing. I'm not going to punch you out. I want to ask you one thing. Why in the fuck did you say that to your parents and everything you were... I wasn't doing it. It was you doing all that. You know that you and Kim do that every night, and I go out with Diana every night. And he said, look, if I don't blame somebody, they won't send me any money. I've got to make somebody put the fault on somebody else. They won't send me any money. I said, oh, I can understand that. Okay, chicken shit. You know. Next day he was off, and all of a sudden, I read in the papers the Walker Brothers in town, and I read who it is. What Gary had done is he had stayed up all night and raffled my phone book and took all the agents, all Tito Burns, all the big agents' numbers out of my phone book, went back, showed his father, told his father he was a big star in England through the news clippings that he had gotten in the papers with me on. And his father said, bullshit. His father said, I know all these agents, boy, I said, Dad, if you'll just start my career off, I've got Scott Walker, I've got John. Said, we can go over there and do a Righteous Brothers thing. And he'd already talked them into it, John. But their parents were very poor. Especially John's.
John.
Scott's were mediocre.
I thought Scott was in the money, was he not?
He was fairly well off.
Yeah.
But nothing compared to Doodah on the drums. You know, the Perfume Man. And John was so poor, he lived out in Culver City near my first wife. In a rundown shack. That's the first thing he ever did when he got his money, was buy his parents a beautiful home in California.
Yeah. So
they came over here and they used all of my contacts, and his father guaranteed them, these agents, that if they ever lost any money on them, that he would reimburse them. So they were actually a paid for act.
Could it all be so easily manipulated in those days?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of it was, even buying in the charts and everything.
Yeah.
And because of what he did, what's his name that raffled my phone book? Gary Leeds, I just said, I better never see you on top of the pops. Make a wide berth, because I'll break your hands and you'll never play the drums again. And he sent a messenger across saying, you can tell Proby he can go to hell. He ain't big as us even anymore.
Oh, there's that kind of shit going back and forth.
Yeah.
Hi, Joe Jackson here again. I thank you for listening to this short section from one of my podcasts. The Joe Jackson Interviews, as I said, is available from nearly all podcast servers. And if you want to read the article that arose out of this chat with PJ, check my website, joejacksoninterviewer.com.